Welcome back, DeWolf Chemistry students. It's me, Mr. Cheney, with another brilliant tutorial. So we are working with states of matter. We did part one. Part one with the states of matter on the PhET labs had to do with going through and just finding temperatures, basically. So we went solid, liquid, gas. We did neon, argon, oxygen, and water. Went through, did the temperatures, and we converted to Fahrenheit, and we got our screenshots of solid, liquid, and gas for each one of those. So now part two is a little more complicated, but not much more, and it's a little more data driven. And so here's how this one's going to work. So going to states of matter part two, here's the slide deck that we'll be working with. And so it's a different lab for one thing, so let's go to that. We're gonna go to Clever. You're gonna find my page, James' page right there. You're gonna go to the PhET lab, and we are doing states of matter, and it is the basic one. We'll do the more complicated one probably later this week. And here we go. So big difference on this one is that we're doing phase changes now. And so we've got pressure, and we're going to be going in Kelvin because of the high temperatures, or low temperatures actually, both extremes. So we're going to need to use Kelvin to do that. Alright, so let's go back to the slide deck, and slide one is giving us an experiment. So we have an experiment 1, and experiment 2, and experiment 3, and all of these are for oxygen. We're going to do the same experiments with argon. So I've put here argon instead of oxygen. So we're going to do the same directions, but just pretend this oxygen says argon. So oxygen for the first 3, argon for the second 3, and then we're doing our screenshots for constant volume. We're doing our screenshots for constant temperature. We're doing our screenshots for constant pressure. So that's for oxygen, those 3. These are for argon. Alright, so this says leave the oxygen at 150 K. In the table below, record the pressure and temperature of the oxygen in the first row. So we need to get the oxygen to 150 K first. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to raise the temperature by providing heat. So we want to get to oxygen first, so make sure you do that. And we are going to apply heat until the K right here is 150 K. So by applying heat, we're seeing that the solid is turning into a liquid, and then from liquid to a gas. And once we get to 150 K, we'll stop it there, and we'll see what kind of pressure. So the pressure is going to bounce around quite a bit. So my suggestion is just kind of let it settle, and then you're going to grab maybe the biggest number you see, because it's going to be within a 2 or 3 or 4 like range. So I'm pretty sure I saw like a 7.1. So I'm going to put that. So we're just looking for a range. We're not going to have an exact answer because the pressure will fluctuate. So our temperature is 150 K. And our pressure, I'm going to put 7.1. So right now, so on experiment 1 it says heat the oxygen to 450 K, so we're going to do that. So we'll apply heat again. We're going to get that up to 450 K. And we're going to see a marked difference between what the molecules are doing in there at 450 K versus 150 K. The pressure is going to be much higher as well. So basically the concept that we're trying to reinforce is that the hotter the gas, the bigger the pressure. So once we get this up to 450 K, we're going to let it kind of settle, and we're going to figure out what our pressure is. So we're almost there at 450 K, and there we go. 450 K. So now we can see our pressure is significantly higher, and I'm seeing the highest number I just saw was like a 25, so I'm going to put that. So back on our slide deck, this is 450 K, and did I say I saw? I think I saw like a 20. I'm going to put 24. 24. So much higher. I'll even put 24.1. Why not? So that's the first, and then we're going to get it up to 900K, and then you're going to record your temperature. Second experiment. Reset the simulation. Heat the oxygen to 450. So we're going to do that. We'll reset. We're going to make sure we're on oxygen, and we're going to heat this up to 450. So get that up to the temperature that they're asking for, and let's go back and, well, let me get this about halfway before I go back to the directions to see what else we're looking for. So once we get it there, we're going to call the current volume of the oxygen 1 container. So with the lid all the way up, we're going to call that 1 container. And so we'll put 1 container and then whatever the pressure is once we get up to 450. Then we're going to use this right here to decrease the volume of the container to about half. We're going to cool the oxygen to 450, record the new volume and pressure in the second row. So this, by increasing the pressure this way, that's going to actually do something with the temperature to where we're going to have to cool it down. And then we're going to drag the finger down to decrease it to 1/4 of a container, and then we'll cool the oxygen and do the same thing. So let's do the 1 container first. Go back, get this up to 450K, and the full container is what we're going to call 1 container. Then we'll go half, and then we'll go 1/4 and see what types of things are happening with our gas and our pressure. So we're a little over halfway, and you can see that the molecules for the oxygen gas are spreading further apart. They're getting more excited. So heat, the change in temperature for gases is a very real thing, and pressure, when you throw that into it, really changes things as well. So we're getting close here to 450K, and I'm looking at my pressure. I saw a 23, so I'm going to go over here. This is 1 container, and I'm going to put 23. So now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to push this down so that my container is about half, and this is kind of a guess. So I'm going to say it's about right there, and it told us that we need to get this back down to 450, so I'm going to cool it down to 450. You can see that the pressure, when you did that, when you compressed the gas, it made the pressure way higher, and it increased the temperature as well. So we're going to get this back down to 450, and we'll see what the pressure is once we get the temperature down to where it was originally. And so really what we're trying to figure out is temperature and pressure, how they affect each other when it comes to different gases. And oxygen obviously is going to be a little different than argon because their specific heats are starting out differently, and so this is what this experiment is going to help us figure out. So we're getting close to 450K, so we're just about there, and we'll see what our pressure looks like. So at half a container, I saw a pressure about 37. I saw a 37 there, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put half container, and I'm going to put 37. And then so you'll go back and you'll make that a 1/4 container. You'll bring that down to 450K, and you'll figure that out. And then the last experiment, it's the constant pressure experiment. So constant volume is the first one, constant temperature is the second one, lastly constant pressure. So we're resetting the simulation again, and we're going to drag the finger down until the pressure is about at 100 atm, so we're going to do that. So it says drag to pressure, record temperature once we get it to 100. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to go to oxygen, make sure we're at oxygen, and we are going to press this down. half. You just want to incrementally do it. So we're getting close to 100 now. So if I just go a little bit further, this should get me pretty close. That's a little higher than I want. I'll ease it up just a little bit. Now we're getting like 104, 106, 107. We'll ease it up just a little bit more. And once we get our numbers to around 100, and I think we're just about there now. And so when it's bouncing around 100, we're going to record the temperature. So 100 ATM, I'm at 569K. So in this one, what I'm recording is the temperature and then the volume container. So that's 1 or a half or a quarter. So this looks to me to be about a quarter. I've recorded my temperature already, and I'm going to put that this is a quarter container, and so forth. So you're going to do that for half a container, you're going to do that for 1 container, and so that'll be the constant pressure one. And then we'll do all the same things for argon, and then we're just going to get screenshots of all of those things that we did. So as you progress through that, you're just going to get your screenshot using your snipping tool. And that there is the States of Matter Part 2 experiment. We'll leave it to you at class, and I will be there to assist in the stickier parts. So I'll see you back in class.